Hello and welcome to ApCal's Backyard Booze Reviews. I'm Sean, and this is Emilio, and we have two wines we're going to showcase for you today. Emilio?
So what we have today is a 2014 Syrah from Rancho Sisquoc, coming out of Santa Barbara. Okay? And we'll be setting that aside next to Paso Robles Syrah by Robert Hall, vintage 2015. So, to start off the top, I suppose, Syrah, very popular in a lot of French blends. Very big in Australia, but very prolific as well here in California. So, as an advisement, I would say go with the cooler climate first. So whenever, I suppose.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right,
let's do it.
Rock and roll. So a couple of things on tasting notes. Syrahs, generally a lot of blackberry notes. Some of them, some can get a little, I would say, a little savory. You might even pick up a little bit of olive in some of them. These two though make a nice spotlight of what two different regions will do to a wine. How's the coffee there?
The coffee is delicious.
You know,
I'm doing as much as I can right now until we start drinking the wines.
You know it's going to mess up your palate, right?
My palate is so refined, so
that refined.
You know, it's that refined. Yeah. It just like flushes it out. So
like 00 grain.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
So you say this is the cooler climate?
Cooler climate, Santa Barbara.
Okay, so we should expect maybe a little more acidity?
Yeah, rule of thumb, generally speaking, with cooler climates, you're going to get yourself less of a fruit-forward profile and a little more prolific acidity. So just think of it as a rule of thumb. The cooler the place, the lower the alcohol content. The more subtle the fruit notes,
awesome.
The more prominent the acidity. The warmer the climate, the more punchy the fruit note, the higher the alcohol content. Okay. Just to give you an idea, just the ABV on this particular fella is 13.5. Okay. Yeah,
so then the warmer climate then would have more sugar in it as well because
pre-crush.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So
let's give this a shot. What is an ABV, Emilio? Can you explain that?
ABV, so it's alcohol by volume.
Oh,
right. So for every of the 750 milliliters in this bottle, 13 and change is alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So not quite as high as the Glenlivet that I like to sip on, but you know, that's okay.
Definitely not as high as the Glenlivet.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. Just have to drink a little more, you know. I'm sure by like 15 minutes into this video, which it actually won't be that long, this will be really fun. So what do you think about the color of this wine, Emilio?
So it's got a good deep color to it. Well structured. I mean, if you look in that nice little ring there, is it too deep into the wine, and the color grades in really nicely. So
it does.
Definitely well structured.
Yep.
A lot of blackberry on the nose I'm picking up.
Pick up a little mustache.
A little mustache?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little beard?
Maybe a little blackberry too.
Maybe a little blackberry. So definitely medium plus acidity there.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. It does.
Good though.
Right.
Is it too early for steaks?
No. I mean, not entirely. No, as it is here. So what do you think? Break it down for me, man.
We break it down.
Yeah,
I'm not the local wine expert. Emilio here is our ApCal head wine steward. He helps with selecting the wines that are purchased and
yeah, it's good.
Decides how we're going to train our employees on them. And so I've heard about legs on wine, Emilio. Can you explain that to me? Being that this is the lower alcohol wine, can you explain what the legs?
So there's a lot of debate about that, believe it or not. For some people, they'll feel that the legs of the wine kind of indicate, sugar content,
okay,
which is not necessarily a reliable form of measurement, since most red wines are going to be less than 5 grams of residual sugar per liter.
Okay.
So they're all going to really qualify as dry. So it's going to be really tough to nail down something like that. A second perspective on it is I guess the ubiquity of alcohol, how prominent the alcohol might be, which is, again, a little tough to discern just by what's running down the glass. So there are a lot of factors to keep in mind why I really don't find it to be a very dependable means of looking into a wine. For all you know, there may be some kind of residual material in the glass that kind of the fluid is adhering to. You know, the natural properties.
That makes sense. So maybe not one of those things we need to base any assumptions about the wine off.
No, I wouldn't necessarily consider, because you could tell a lot more by your nose, and by your taste than you can by how the legs go down the line. I mean, you may as well be reading tea leaves. Yeah.
Which is our next video. So, what is your take on this one? So you got blackberries out of it. What else?
So to me, I don't know. There is I wouldn't necessarily say briny, but the acidity is so forward that it clears the mouth very, 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 very quickly. The finish is
a little chewy.
Oh yeah, the tannins are prominent, but I wouldn't necessarily call it full body. It's not like a Tanat or like a Cool Climate Cab. It's definitely running along the middle. But it is 100% Syrah, and it is from one particular region. It is so it's a nice highlight of what Santa Barbara could do as a woman.
Right on.
Yeah. So I guess we'll work on to number 2.
Well, we don't have to finish the bottle.
I mean,
it depends on how those steaks are coming. I guess.
When in France, right?
Yeah.
Or Rome.
Or the backyard.
Right? Okay, so number 2. So Robert Hall here, we're definitely going to be looking at a different wine here, since, of course, like I said, warmer climate.
Yeah. Also very famous for their wines.
Yes, they are. They are. As it is, I mean, they tend to do particularly good work as it is. I also find them to be a nice clinic on balance. And what I mean by that is, the flavors and aromas. The fruit is complemented with something savory, usually something spicy or smoky. The acidity isn't too overwhelming. The alcohol, while prominent, still matched with some forward flavors. It is. A small cork.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm sure.
So I can tell you a lot about the wine.
Okay, so this is a real thing.
Yes, it is a real thing. Yeah.
Okay. I've never been asked to smell your cork before, so I think we're good.
Well, we haven't known each other long. So the reason why you smell the cork, right, is because it could hint at possible cork taint.
Sorry.
So cork taint is actually a real thing. It is actually
cork taint. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So say that one more time.
No, cork taint.
Say the whole thing one more time, because I'm going to cut that out.
Yeah, leave it in. So the reason why you smell the cork is because it is a sign. It could signal you to a possible flaw in the wine. Cork taint, right? Okay.
I held it in that time. If the last one didn't make the cut.
It's a real thing, right?
It's a real thing.
Yeah. So and it'll give the wine.
It just bothers me that you're touching it so much, but what you do with the cork taint is your decision. So.
No judgment here.
No
right?
judgment.
No judgment.
Nope.
Okay. So it'll usually impart onto the wine. Kind of this like the smell of rotting cardboard.
Yeah, wet cardboard, rotting cardboard. Yes.
Yeah,
no, I have smelled that before, and it is not an appetizing smell at all.
And it wouldn't hurt you to drink it, but it's a very bad presentation of the wine. It shortens up the finish, drowns out the fruit.
That's when you use it for cooking and you move on.
Right? Okay. So also, of course, and maybe some other time we'll go over what a healthy cork is supposed to look like. But that one's in pretty good shape.
Looks like a healthy cork taint to me.
It's like a healthy cork taint.
So let me take this moment to say that even though we are showcasing 2 wines we currently sell, if you guys have any suggestions on wines you'd like to pit against any of the wines we do sell, we would like those comments and the opportunity to give that a shot. So if you want to leave any comments below on a wine you're particularly a fan of, whether or not it's something we carry, we'd be happy to try it out and see what our opinion is and go from there.
All right,
so let's go ahead and do the Paso Robles Syrah.
All right, working into the Paso Robles.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do a little rinse here real quick.
I mean, you can.
Come on, you know how bougie I am. There you go, rinse it. Can I rinse mine down yours too?
Rinsed.
Yeah, ready? Open up. No.
Rinsed. Oh, okay. Oh. I didn't know we were that close.
Yeah.
Okay, so
if you'd like to take a look at the wines we carry, shortly we'll have a list of wines on our website at apcalwine.com. That's APCALWINE.com. You can also find a full list of our events, by the way. We'll just kind of shamelessly throw that in there, but we are fully booked for this season. Yes,
fully booked.
We have events starting April 31st. We will then skip April 7th, but the rest of April we'll have a festival during the day. The rest of April, all 3 other weekends. May starts our concert season, where every Friday and Saturday night from May through the end of September.
But I got a question though. What kind of music do you guys run on this boat?
Well, we do classic rock, Latin music. We have some Mana. We have some Selena.
Okay.
We have
Amor Prohibido.
There you go. I'm just gonna let you sing to me all day. But we have one weekend in May. It's May 12th. That or one Saturday, I should say. That is our beer festival. That will be our only daytime festival in May. So,
Shameless pandering. I like
shameless.
it. Shameless pandering.
Please buy tickets. ApCalWine.com/events.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So it is a little unorthodox to compare a 14 with a 15, and for a couple of reasons. The most, of course, obvious reason is that the weather in 2015 is different than it was in 2014, right?
Maybe.
Possibly, depending on who you
sure
ask.
it is.
Yeah, depending on who you ask. Because some of it's just a myth. Climate never changes.
Yeah, never.
Never. It's
Never.
been the same.
Climate doesn't change.
At all.
I mean, that's
Ever,
why it's
right?
80 right now, right?
Yeah, sure. So, what we do, so what we're going to go ahead and do with this particular fellow is, as it is, it's a spotlight, like I said, more of a stylistic difference.
Yeah.
With the same fruit, different here. Okay, so you.
Okay. So a little different style here. A little, like you were saying, the weather was different in 2015. I actually found that I had a bunch of 2013 Syrahs from the Paso area that I was really a big fan of. I don't know what it was with the weather that year. A lot of the winemakers I talked to told me it was due to the weather. I don't know if it was, I think it was a longer growing season, stressed them a little bit. It was either that or that was 2014. I don't remember.
Well, a lot of things, a lot of factors that could have possibly jumped in there. The amount of rain received that year, of course, the location of the vineyard itself.
Sure.
There are a lot of factors. So, on visual inspection, this one here looks a little deeper in color to me. You can definitely smell the use of oak in this one, I find.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the first thing I taste on my palate. The acidity is definitely, I would say, much less for me, but that oak really hits my palate instantly. But it's nothing that bothers me.
Right. So, anything jumping out of the glass? Just smell yourself. I know it seems strange, but smell yourself. If you need to clear your nose, smell yourself.
It's like daisies.
I mean, if you
That actually works.
it does, yeah. So there's a little bit of science behind that, oddly enough. The whole idea is you're used to smelling yourself. You know what you smell like.
That would explain a lot.
Right, so
Which I will leave out of this video.
I hope so. I really do. So, smelling yourself, you reset your nose.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that makes sense.
Right.
So I don't know.
So still
cherry, black cherry.
Cherry, blackberry. They can be intertwined depending.
Yeah, like unripened blackberry, maybe. In this one.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. But I do think the oak's a little more prominent. So it is a little peaty, a little smokier.
Okay. Peaty, and not like there's some guy named Pete with soaking his feet in these.
No,
Pete like, Moss, maybe.
Yeah, like come on, Scotch guy.
I just want to make sure. We're all clear. And if you guys take issue with anything we're saying, please realize this is just our opinion. And if you would like the opportunity to come out and debate this with Emilio, because I'm not going to debate it with anybody because I hide during the events, but Emilio would be happy to talk to you at the bar as long as he's not totally swamped, so maybe you better come during the week, but come out anytime. Give Emilio your opinions. Please leave comments. His days he works inside the house is Thursday and Friday until the events start Friday nights, Saturday and Sunday as well. But
Subject to change.
Yeah,
They should probably email them.
you should probably email them. message.
Or leave a Facebook comment.
Yeah, do Facebook or leave a comment here, or you can email him at emilio@apcalwine.com. Come, have a chat with him.
Sure. So, all right. So what are we picking up here?
I'm just getting black cherries, like I said, unripened, not quite fully ripened blackberries. Almost like you're chewing on the stems, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
I don't really get a lot of the vanilla from the oak, a little bit, but I do taste the woodiness of the oak.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I
I
were to
smell the vanilla a lot
Right.
more than I taste it.
If I were to take a guess, it was probably French or Hungarian, because the flavors are a little more subtle.
And I'm not even going to fake like I know anything about where we're going now, so I'm just going to nod.
Okay. So American oak is very prominent in wine. It's a punch in the face. Like it will jump out of the glass to you.
Yeah, that doesn't hit me that hard.
Yeah, French and Hungarian are a little more subtle. The smoke you're picking up is probably from the char in the barrel.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So definitely a little more full-bodied, I find, and I think that's from the oak itself.
Okay.
You mentioned berry stems.
Yeah.
So think
vegetal. Kind of?
Yeah. Well, think of it from the the barrel itself,
Yeah.
the wood, as it is, because the wood will impart a different sort of tannin. The tannins from the wood will kind of settle a little more on your tongue.
Right on.
Yeah. So here, definitely a little more full-bodied, I find. A little more structure, a little more mouthfeel, so to speak. So what do you think? What would you eat it with? And don't say steak. Don't say steak.
Quinoa.
Quinoa? Quinoa? Okay, go ahead.
I say I'm going to stick to steak, but I would do, I know with pairing, sometimes, protein's important, but a lot of times the sauce is more important than the protein.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I would do this with, say, caramelized onions and mushrooms on top of the steak. I think that sounds good to me. Something like a portobello, not a crappy white mushroom.
What about a black and blue burger?
Oh yeah, it would definitely stand up to
Black and blue. Yeah.
Lunchtime.
Right? Yeah.
Is that barbecue thing?
Ooh.
I don't know. We're gonna find it.
We will. That I would say would be a good run with the Paso Robles, because I think it's a little more full. Tannins and protein. Think of that. The fuller, the heavier the tannins, the more likely they are to stand up to the protein. The size
would that the blue cheese wouldn't wash that out at all. It would be very complimentary.
Right. So definitely something a little lighter, I would say, for the Rancho Sisquoc.
I don't know. I don't remember this taste.
You don't remember?
Let's see.
Okay. So the acidity on this fella here is a little more forward. So you wouldn't have to. So it would be a little more of I don't want to say cleansing agent, because it's not detergent, and we're not chewing Tide Pods here, but
new video idea.
You don't pay me enough for that.
You're right.
So this particular fellow, though, I would say, since it's a little lighter bodied, since the acidity is a little more prominent, I find it not necessarily missing, but the more savory aspects to be to be subtle. So I would say, if you want to complement it, steak au poivre, like a peppered steak.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified, because I did not know that was meant peppered steak.
Really? Didn't even know. Never mind.
See where my pinky's at? See?
It's not there.
I'm trying, but it's not. It doesn't want to do it. That's not here. You do it. Just hold it out there for me.
Stretch it out a little.
Let's get a string and hang up from there.
There you go.
That'll look like I know what I'm doing.
But I think, though, this would stand up definitely a little better to cheeses, I suppose. Like, this is definitely a little more like dinner, and this is definitely a little more like appetizers, things of that sort.
You don't think it's too tannic to go with peppered steak? Because I know sometimes if you get too many tannins, too much acid in it, you don't want to go too peppery, because you can kind of like make that little chemical burn on your tongue. Well, it's not that acidic, I don't think.
Well, I think it would obviously have to be a rich cut, something like a sirloin or a ribeye.
Something to get the acids to react with.
Right, a New York steak would probably be a little too trim.
Yeah.
But you got to think, though, the tannins are going to bind to the protein in the food.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So, because the tannins, they give you that drying sensation, because they bind to the protein in your saliva.
Which is why, if you ever don't enjoy a wine, or you say it's too dry or too tannic for you, always try to eat with it. Wine has been paired with food since wine was invented. And like Emilio said, that the acids play off and bind to the protein. So if you don't have protein in your mouth, the biggest piece of protein is your tongue, and that's what they're going to. So
right, yeah. You know, honestly though, even if not a peppered steak, like a nice bolognese sauce, you know, something, you know, red sauce with a sausage or ground or some kind of ground beef. You know, I think it could hold up pretty well.
that sounds good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
So are you cooking?
Do you really want me to cook?
The way you asked me that.
Can I ask if you will eat it if I actually make it?
The way you asked me is telling me that
you were the resident chef, my friend. You were the resident chef.
Nah, I don't know that.
Well,
So,
let's go ahead and wrap this up then.
sure.
What's your favorite?
So that's a trick question because they both run two different kinds of games.
Yeah.
If I were to have a meal, I definitely kind of run toward this fella.
You know, that's what I was going to say too. Even though the tannins are higher in that, I still would drink that without a meal before necessarily that one. I think that one would be much better with a meal, and that one I've been drinking 8 times. We might even finish the bottle today, this morning.
Before 11?
Yeah.
You drink it before 11?
He means it's 4 p.m. Nobody knows when this is being posted.
Nobody?
No, they do know.
Okay. So,
Very good.
yeah, we're good. So, hopefully we'll be seeing you all next time. We're always here at ApCal every day.
Every day. So
Every day.